When designing plumbing systems for buildings, there are several systems that could exist. Typically, each building will have a domestic supply, waste and vent, and storm drainage system. However, there could be many more. Revit provides several default piping systems to help you design plumbing systems for your building project. These include domestic cold water, domestic hot water, sanitary, vent, other, and several fire protection piping systems. When designing plumbing systems in Revit, you will typically use the same general process to lay out a system, despite the type of system. First, you need to add plumbing fixtures and any required equipment, such as water heaters, pumps, and so on. Typically, the architectural team places plumbing fixtures in their model. You can use tools in Revit to copy the fixtures from the architectural model and place them in the MEP model. Then Revit can monitor the fixtures in the architectural model and inform you of any location changes. You can also use tools in Revit to place plumbing fixtures and additional equipment. Next, you should place pipe connectors at city water connection locations or wherever the system will flow to or be supplied from. These connectors should be placed at the proper location and invert elevation. For example, domestic supply systems will need a connector placed at the location where the city-supported domestic water connection will be. After that, you need to define piping systems. Realize that you can define a piping system without creating piping, or you can create the piping and connect the fixtures or equipment in order to define a piping system. If you are not ready to create piping in the project, Revit provides tools to place pipe placeholders during design development stages. Once systems have been defined, you may wish to create plumbing system calculation schedules to properly size equipment and building pipe mains. Then you can route pipe from the fixtures to the pipe connector locations. Realize that you can size the piping as you sketch pipe elements, or go back and size the piping afterwards. Once the piping has been modeled, you can add pipe accessories, such as valves, and then add pipe insulation for systems requiring insulation. Once the system is complete, you can schedule and tag the plumbing components. This is a high-level overview of the typical plumbing workflow. Let's discuss some of these steps in a little more detail. You may be wondering why we should create piping systems in Revit. Piping systems are logical entities that facilitate calculations for flow and sizing of piping. Once piping systems are created in your model, you will have a better understanding of the piping systems in the project. You will also have the ability to add graphic overrides and create view filters in order to see the various systems and document them properly. Recall that there are several default piping system types. However, you can create additional custom system types to handle the needs of the plumbing systems in your project. Remember that piping systems can be created in two ways. One way is to simply add pipe to connect the components, and they will automatically be added to a piping system. The other way is to select the components and manually add them to a system. Then you can have Revit generate and lay out the piping. In order for a component to be added to a system, the family must have a pipe connector. A piping system consists of one or several target connectors and one source connector. Typically, a source connector is on the equipment, such as a pump, while the target connectors are the various plumbing fixtures. The source connector could also be the pipe connector where the fluid is flowing from or to. However, it may be easier to not even specify a source connector when creating piping systems for plumbing. Additionally, when modeling piping, you should route main piping and cap open mains to begin modeling a system. Then place branch pipes and connect them to the main piping. Revit provides tools to help you define routing preferences so that you can quickly lay out piping systems. Next, you need to connect the branches to the plumbing fixtures. Then you can size the piping as necessary if you did not do so during routing. Also, throughout the entire design process, you should always coordinate interferences with other disciplines.